Hey guys, Chris here with the Good Old Gamer. So after taking a few months off and taking a step back, just enjoying life, playing some old games like The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time and the original God of War, I'm actually still playing these and enjoying them thoroughly. It has brought a new perspective on the way that I look at gaming as a whole, and it really changes the way that I look at the PC gaming market specifically. Then I saw this article over on videocards.com just the other day. Looks like Nvidia's planning on stripping down the RTX 2060 into up to 6 different variants. If you have not heard of this, it looks like there will be a 6GB model, a 4GB version, and a 3GB version. And then there will also have GDDR5 and or 5X versions of each of these as well. So totaling up in 6 different variants of the RTX 2060. Now, this really struck me because I'm like, there's something really odd about this. First off, you're getting a cut down version of the TU-106 chip, which is what's powering the RTX 2070 currently. So you're getting the worst silicon of the 2070, and then they're going to segregate it down even further. And that's because this is going to be their entire mid-range lineup from cut down TU-106 chips. We just found out today that the 6GB version should be $349, likely $399 with the Founders Edition price. And then I'm assuming the lowest end 3GB version with GDDR5 will likely be around the $199 price point. So $199 to about $399. That's basically what the RTX 2070 should be covering. And that's the entire mid-range. That's it. I mean, that's where most gamers spend their money on GPUs. That's what they want to invest, because once you start going to that $499 on up mark, you're not mainstream anymore. That's the high-end enthusiast level of graphics cards. And you're not really getting super high-end enthusiast graphics cards for $499 anymore. So there's really not too many people spending that kind of money on GPUs unless they're looking at something like the 2080 Ti, which is way beyond what I spend on an entire system, let alone on a video card. So this is really segregating the market. You're having people push to the extremely high end, and Nvidia keeps creating a new high-end mark for people to hit. We have $2,500 Titans now and $1,200, I guess you can say, Geforce gaming cards. I mean, it's just crazy when you think about that. And then when you have the mid-range basically being this muddled mess of just subpar GPUs, for example, myself, I'm not going to invest in this. So the only real options that you have are to either go secondhand, older generation, so you're using out-of-date technology, or go to the low end. And a lot of people are choosing to go to the low end, and that's something that I've noticed since I've taken a step back. There's a huge amount of people that are saying, screw it, because you can play the vast majority, if not all of the best PC games out there on a GPU that costs less than $100. You can play on a system that costs $200 or less and get the vast majority of the best PC gaming titles out there running just fine. I know, it sounds crazy when you put it that way. So you have huge portions of the market saying, screw it, I'll buy a pre-built Dell system with like an i5 2400 in there for like $80, throw in like a GTX 1050 or GT 1030 or an RX 570 for about $100-ish. And that's going to play all the esports titles, all the indie titles, and it's going to play all AAA titles from like 3 or 4 years ago on back. So 25 plus years of excellent AAA titles for less than $200. And as we just found out today, the RTX 2060 will actually be at $349. Now, of course, some custom designs and, the better versions of this will be higher, but that's to be expected. That's why I'm saying it'll go probably up to $399, from your Asus Strix and your better models. Your Gaming X from MSI, though, will probably be a little bit higher. But anyways, MSRP at $349, and they actually have preliminary performance numbers, and it's kind of right around where we figured. We're looking, GTX 1070 Ti. It seems to be a little bit better in, DirectX 12 and newer titles than the 1070 Ti, but overall, it kind of falls in between the two. And realistically, considering the GTX 1070 cost $389 at launch, and that's 2.5 years ago, and we're getting the RTX 2070 for $349 now, basically just a little bit higher, a few percentage points, nothing crazy. And you can get GTX 1070s brand new on Newegg for $304, or as low as $225 secondhand on eBay. This isn't really instilling confidence in me. Realistically, you could have had this performance many years ago at the exact same price, essentially. Because I remember GTX 1070 selling for $330 the Christmas of 2016. Before the video card crypto mining boom hit, these were selling for $330. So realistically, you basically had access to the same GPU years and years ago. Oh, I forgot to mention the GTX 1070 also has 2 gigabytes more memory. So to me, this is just really, really poor showing of what the mid-range is going to offer. And tells me that NVIDIA really has no interest in catering to this market at all. They don't want to go ahead, the $199 to $399 price point, they don't give a shit. They want to sell the $1,200 cards, and they want to make really, really tiny chips that cost them almost nothing to make for about $100. And that's kind of where they're shoving the market. Now, AMD may have something that would compete with this. We're not really sure yet. This is something that we'll have to find out. And that's a market that they should really focus on, because that's where a lot of gamers typically like to spend. For me, I'm a big fan of the $299 to $399 price point. You used to get the best bang for the buck in that price point. You used to get very, very close to top tier performance. So like 2080 Ti-ish performance, you used to be able to get for $399 or $299 to $399 with some overclocking. Nowadays, there's no way an RTX 2060 is going to get anywhere near a RTX 2080 Ti in performance. You have to spend a lot of money to get that level of performance, and realistically, it's just not worth it. As I just mentioned earlier, games aren't that demanding. The most popular titles on PC are esports titles and simple to run games. I mean, the most demanding one was like PUBG, and that's just because it's poorly optimized. And it makes sense to me why most PC gamers are saying, screw it, I'm just going to keep what I have until it's basically worthless. I'm not going to worry about upgrading monitors and resolution or high refresh or basically all the things that you think people would want to start investing into. A lot of people are being put off by this, and they're just not that interested in it, realistically. I'm seeing a lot more people that just want a basic machine. Like I said, a pre-built system, you throw in a $100 graphics card, and you're good to go. And that seems to be where a huge swath of the market is going. Now, if you want to play major AAA titles like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for example, most people are just fine playing that on a console. If you guys remember, Digital Foundry went ahead and found out even a Ryzen 7 1700X could not run that game at a locked 60 frames per second. And that's the other side of this argument, is the fact that games on PC, especially the ports, the AAA ports, are so poorly optimized at times that even very high-end hardware, like a 1700X, yes, that's very high-end hardware, when most PC gamers are looking at like i5 2400s as being their gaming CPUs. Yes, I know, most of the people I'm talking to have much faster systems than that. But realistically, an i7 or a Ryzen 7 1700X not being able to hit 60 frames per second in a game is absolutely ludicrous. And that's something that I mentioned in a previous video. And that's the other side of this coin, is that AAA developers are getting so lazy that you need that top-end hardware just to run their ports, because they run like crap on PC. Now, this isn't all games. There are some games that are ported over very, very well, but there are those that aren't. And realistically, you're going to get a much better experience playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey on something like an Xbox One X for much, much less money than building a super high-end gaming PC with something like an i9 9900K and something like an RTX 2080 or 2080 Ti. You can buy a cheap $200 or $300 computer and an Xbox One X or PS4 Pro for less money than one of those GPUs. So a lot of people I see going that way, and to me it actually makes a lot of sense. If you don't want to waste money and you just want to play games, you don't want to waste money on hardware unnecessarily, that is a very, very smart way to go. And something I want to talk about in the future is actually games as a whole. Somebody brought this up not too long ago about the backlog of games. And that's actually one of the reasons why the AAA developers right now seem to be having a lot of trouble with their finances. Most of them have lost up to 50% of the value on their shares, and this is likely due to the fact that people are not interested in AAA games anymore because they're burnt out on them, because they're not experimenting, they're not doing anything new or fun. And realistically, the games that are coming out now, they're not top quality. These aren't like the best games of all time type of games. I'm talking about your AAA publishers, multi-platform publishers. I'm not talking about like Nintendo, and I'm not talking about Sony's developers, because obviously they're trying to push for that level of game, but I'm talking about your EAs, your Activisions, your Ubisofts. Those guys, they seem to have no interest in trying to make the best game of all time. They're trying to make the most profitable games of all time. And realistically, most of us have a backlog of games that we can go out and play that are better than anything that's coming out now. And that's one of the big reasons why I think the market's starting to stagnate. And that's something that I want to talk about in another video. But let me know what you guys think about the video card market with the way things are going now, with gamers basically being divided. Because to me, there's simply no reason to buy the worst of the TU-106 chips for up to $349. I mean, it's going to be much worse than the 2070s, because obviously if the chip was good enough, it would just be made into a 2070. And then on the 3GB version, you're getting even worse and more cut down version of the RTX, the TU-106. So basically you're spending top dollar for the worst of the worst silicon. And honestly, that does not entice me at all. I was okay with the RTX 2070 if they just slid that down to $399. I think the performance there is actually okay at that price point, but at $499, it's unnecessarily high and just not going to work for me. And then going from the $249 price point of the GP106 up to a $349 price point, so that's a $100 increase for mainstream GPUs, which on the GTX 960 was actually $199 for the GTX 960. So we went from $199 to $249, from $249 to $349, and now you're not even getting the full 106 chip for $349. So you're spending an extra $100 and you're not even getting the full chip. So let me know what you guys think about that down in the comment section below. If you like this kind of video, please hit that like button, please subscribe, please share with friends. That really helps me out. And I will catch you guys in the next video.